We're doing it live. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. All right. So today's title of the video, I believe, is called The Anti-Pedophile Nazis. Is that what it's called? The original MAGA. Anti-Pedophile Nazis, the original MAGA. So, hey, everybody. It's me, Brian Nato. And guess what? I'm the guy that told everybody to tell everybody about how there was an elite group of pedophiles running the U.S. government. That was me. Ta-da! Here I am. It wasn't just me. I mean, David Icke's been saying this for a long time. So I guess it was me and David Icke. But so I was one of the people that were following the Daily Stormer back in 2013, 2014, 2015. And we are the original people that backed Donald Trump as president. And what I was telling everybody at the time, what I was telling Andrew Anglin, not that I spoke to him or anything a lot. I mean, I think I sent him a couple emails or whatever, and he just picked this right up. It's not like I told him to do this, but I'm just saying I was one of the people that would comment a lot on the Daily Stormer. And I was somebody who sent Andrew Anglin a couple emails. And Andrew Anglin's a smart guy. I think Andrew Anglin's probably the most interesting writer of anybody that has a blog anywhere on the internet. I don't think let me put it this way. Other than tweets, people's tweets that I read or people's Facebook posts that I read, I don't sit and read a whole article written by anybody on the internet other than the stuff I've read by Andrew Anglin, because he's the only person that I've found on the internet that actually writes really interesting articles. And other people's articles just aren't really worth reading. So in my experience, in my opinion, Andrew Anglin has the best articles. Unfortunately, he's not that great of a speaker. And if you ever listen to his interviews, he has a hard time articulating his thoughts when he's speaking. And I think it's because he's gotten into drugs. But his writing is really good. And I wish he wasn't into drugs. If he has gotten into drugs, I don't know that he has, but I suspect that he has. And I think he's probably feeling a little bit down, which is why he does that. But his articles are really good, and that's why I've read his articles, and I find his humor to be good, and I find his opinions to be very what do you call it? What's that word when you can insightful? Very insightful. Now, back in that time, I was telling everybody to go on the anti-pedophile tack, right? The tack is like a ship, as a boat makes a tack across the ocean. It's like the route that it takes. I don't know how to describe it. A tack. The route, like I was telling everybody, look, here's what you have to understand. The Republican Party is anti-Nazi. Anti-Nazi. They're against Nazism. They're against Hitler. Jeb Bush said that he wanted to kill baby Hitler. Okay? He would kill a baby Hitler. That's what Jeb Bush said. The Democrat Party is anti-Nazi. It's run by Joe Biden, who's a pedophile. Nancy Pelosi, who's whatever. She's Nancy Pelosi. It's run by people in California like this Wiener guy that's a homosexual pedophile, right? LGBT, these are people that promote trans kids, right? So back in the day, back in the 2014, 2015, I was telling everybody, you need to go after these people as being child abusers. They're sexual predators against children. Now, the thing you have to understand is not everybody who's involved in these political groups has sexually attacked a child, but they sexually pervert their minds. Like, why would any adult understand this? Why would any adult want to talk to a child about their genitals, right? But that's what the people in the schools are doing. That's what the unions are pushing in the schools. That's what the politicians are pushing. That's what the Democratic Party is pushing. The Republicans pretend like they're on some other side, but they're not really. They're very weak. They're very weak when it comes to this stuff. What they're all hardliners on is they're all anti-Nazi. They're all against the Nazis, and they want to kill Hitler, and they're glad we bombed Germany, and we're glad that we killed the Germans because we have this big interracial, interreligious utopia with Muslims and Somalians and Jews and Catholics and atheists. See, this is their worldview. So the person they hated the most was Adolf Hitler. And so I told everybody on the Daily Stormer to push the Epstein thing, push the pedophile, that these people are pedophiles. See, they're protecting pedophiles. The same people that are protecting the pedophiles want to tell you that Hitler was the worst person in the whole world and that these racists are the worst people in the whole world. But these are the same people that are protecting Jeffrey Epstein and the pedophile network. So I was telling everybody way back then, because I'll be honest with you, nobody was doing this then. Back in 2014, nobody was really bringing this up. I was bringing it up. And I was bringing it up every time I could. Why? Because this is the Achilles heel, right? They want to call you a Nazi. They want to call you a racist, but they're pedophiles and they're defenders of pedophilia and they're defenders of a pedophile ring. See, if you notice this whole thing, like let's just take the Democrat Party as an example. They are pushing all this stuff with trans kids, right? But they're against Hitler and they're against racism. See how that works? See, Hitler wasn't a pedophile, right? Hitler was not a pedophile. Hitler was not a pedophile. They're pedophiles. And their biggest enemy in the whole world is Adolf Hitler. Now, I'm not saying any of this because I want to hurt Jews. So the other thing is when you start talking about Hitler, people think, oh, you want to kill all the Jews. No, I don't. I don't actually want to kill all the Jews. Sorry, idiot. If that's what that's such a stupid thing to say, okay? No, I don't. It has nothing to do with Jews, actually. It has very little to do with Jews, other than some Jews are involved in these rings, like the Jeffrey Epstein ring. And I'd really like it if Jews would just leave me alone. Can you just do that? Can we just live separately? But I don't want to get into all that. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. Way back in 2014, see, I realized, so when you have dirt on somebody, right? You have dirt on somebody. You know somebody's involved in some bad shit. And you're saying this is your enemy, this is your political enemy. Well, then why wouldn't you throw that in their face? Because, the Republicans weren't doing that then. You got to understand, back in 2015, the Republicans didn't want to bring up stuff like this. They were forced into it. And they were forced into it by who? They were forced into it by me. Me. I forced them into it. But not just me. All the other people that were convinced by me and others to go on this line. Now, at the time when I started doing this, nobody was talking about this. They weren't talking about this. These are the kind of people that would go to a whatever. Let's go to a Sacramento and we'll do a pro-Nazi rally. Okay, well, you're wasting your time. You're going to go to a pro-Nazi rally, and then you're going to get attacked by Antifa, and the police are going to stand there and let them beat the shit out of you and stab you or throw things at you. And then if you fight back, you're going to get arrested. So you can't do that. That's dumb. That's not a good tactic. A good tactic is just constantly talk about pedophiles in the government because that's who runs it. You see, that's why you bring it up. See, you bring it up because you're fucking serious about bringing them down. They're the enemy, right? They're the enemy. So if you're serious about bringing them down, you talk about their crimes. See, you're not in government. So it doesn't hurt you to talk about their crimes. Now, who doesn't want to talk about it? All the major media people surrounding the Republican Party, they don't want to talk about it. I'm surprised Charlie Kirk talked about it at all. But he did. I give him credit for that, even though I find him to be kind of silly. But Sean Hannity is not going to be talking about that, and all these other people aren't going to be talking about it. And We forced them to do it. We forced them to do it. You have to understand all of this Trump stuff and all this anti-pedophile stuff and all this anti-Jeffrey Epstein stuff. It didn't start with Alex Jones. It started at the Daily Stormer. It all started at the Daily Stormer. It started with neo-Nazis at the Daily Stormer. That's where all of this comes from. And that's why Trump is telling you you're an idiot for believing any of it, because he's part of the cult. Now, we backed Trump in 2015, and Andrew Anglin's pretty much turned on Trump right away. I think, once the first term, Andrew Anglin is already like, this guy's an idiot. This guy is not one of us. Trump isn't one of us. Trump is not one of us. Trump is one of them. The reason we back Trump is because of his immigration policy. And but he's worn out his usefulness. Trump has pretty much worn out his usefulness. And so what I'm suggesting, the next stage of this political evolution becomes, is that whatever, Trump can go fuck off, basically. I'm glad he's enforcing the border. Tom Homan's doing a good job, and that's great. Keep it up. But from here on out, we need to continue our evolution into the future, and the future is this is dissolving the whole race mixing regime. So the thing that ruined America is the whole race mixing thing. This whole idea that we're going to race mix with Somalians and Indians and Pakistanis and Chinese and Koreans and Vietnamese and people from all over the world. That's not the future of the white race. We are a thing, but like it or not, the white European people are a thing. We're our own thing. We have our own way of life. We have our own way of doing things. And frankly, in my opinion, it's better than what anybody else has ever had. Nobody else has ever had anything as good as what we have. And and as far as I can tell, nobody else will ever have anything as good as what we have. There's something about the cooperation that occurs within a homogenous European civilization that makes it very strong and powerful and functional. Now, the reason why you don't have a functioning society today in America is because of this whole Jesuit Roman Catholic Jesuit system that was brought in, that systematically decided that the white race had to go, and that they wanted to, because it's a commercial system. You got to understand something. The Roman Catholic Church is not so much a religion as it is a commercial system. And so it includes Jews, and it includes the Zionists, and it includes this whole, they basically put the Jewish Zionists as the managerial class of the capitalist system of the Jesuits, because the Jesuit system is a commercial system. And so you have Jews involved, and they're like the managerial group that's managing the financial system of the U.S. Treasury Department, the bond market, with Howard Lutnick, who is in Trump's administration. So did you see Howard Lutnick laughing as Trump was calling the Jeffrey Epstein thing a hoax? Right. See, Howard Lutnick, who didn't show up to work on 9/11, even though he worked at the World Trade Center. Howard Lutnick is a criminal. And this whole system is a system of criminals run by Jewish mafia in league with the Jesuits and the Roman Catholic Church. And when I say Jesuit, I don't just mean the Jesuit order. It's really just the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope. And that doesn't mean that Roman Catholics who believe in Christ or who are anti-abortion, I'm not saying it's them. I'm just saying the Vatican system is a commercial system. And that's why they brought in republicanism. You have to understand that our existing order, where we don't have a king and we have a republic, that's a Jesuit system that was brought in by the Roman Catholics. That was brought in by the Roman Catholics, and they're the ones that are pushing all the race mixing, and they're the ones that put the Jews in charge of the finance, and they're the ones that, see what I mean? They're the ones that set up this existing order. And this has been a total catastrophe for the white race of North America and Europe and England and Germany and all the Nordic states and all the Baltic states and Eastern Europe and Greece and Athens and Italy and everywhere. Like, it's literally been a disaster for all the European people in the world, in Australia and South Africa and Rhodesia. This has been a catastrophe. So the future is the white race has to create a civilization for itself, because there's no future in this whole race mixing regime. There's no future in race mixing with Africans. We can be on good terms with Africans. We can have a cooperative thing with some Africans. That's fine. We can have a cooperative thing with people of different races. That's good. I think we should do that. But ultimately, we have to have some kind of a government that looks out for our own people, because otherwise we're getting wiped out. The people that are wiping us out are the people that Donald Trump's affiliated with. They're the people pushing all the drugs. They're the people that pushed LSD in America and Europe and changed the culture with LSD and marijuana. They're the people that shipped in the heroin from the East, the Orient, from like the India, Golden Triangle area over there, through Turkey, through Lebanon, into France, through the Sicilian mafia, working with the Corsican mafia, into America, into New York, that hooked people on heroin, right? And the cocaine coming up out of Central America into the United States, the fentanyl that's coming in. So this has been a long process of literal. The main threat, the main way that the white race was destroyed in North America and Europe was through drugs and war and violence, but also through drugs, particularly in North America. In North America, the white race was taken out by drugs, and then drugs, and then pushing race mixing. It was drugs, race mixing, abortion, feminism, because feminists don't have families, and then the men. And also they get you get all these other people are competing for the higher income jobs, right? So now now the white man is competing with a woman and a African American and a Chinese and a Hispanic and an Indian for the same job, right? Why would you do that to your own race? It doesn't make any sense. See, it doesn't make any sense to make your own people compete with these other foreign people for the money, for the job, for the future. But that's been the American system under the Jesuits and the Jewish mafia, because it's the bond market. See, they set up this thing called the Treasury bond market, and everything is oriented around the bond market. And it's run by Howard Lutnick and the Jewish mafia in a syndicate with the Vatican, with a bunch of corporations that are all surrounding it, like Pfizer, like Moderna, like Johnson & Johnson, like Eli Lilly, like the weapons contractors, like, what do you call it? Who makes all the weapons? I don't know. You got all these, I can't remember all their names. These big corporations that make weapons and drugs. And so now we don't have any cities. All of our cities are toilets. White people cannot make a city. It's against the law for white people to form their own cities. That's actually a crime. That's a crime that will be blocked by the FBI and the Department of Justice. If white people imagine if white people, say, took over a big city. Let's just take any city. Let's take Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is run by Muslims now, Somalians. It's run by Somalians for Somalians. But if white people did that, and they put white people in, and the white people said we're having a city for white people, that would all be blocked by the Department of Justice. that would be blocked by the FBI, and that would all be subverted, and it would be brought back into this race mixing thing. So it's become illegal for white people to have a city. It's become illegal for white people to have a state. It's become illegal for white people to form their own businesses and have their own governments. And this is all by design. This is the US system. This is the system that was brought in by the Jesuits in the District of Columbia. And when the founding fathers created the District of Columbia, they didn't realize that this was going to be the outcome. They basically got tricked. And just like you got tricked by Donald Trump into thinking that he was going to release the Epstein files, and he's not, the founding fathers got tricked into forming the Washington District of Columbia for the Jesuits, because that's what all this boils down to. It's about tricking you and tricking you and tricking you and running con games on you and running farcical bullshit on you constantly, one year after the next. There's no future in it. And so the only future from here on out is the white race organizing on behalf of the white race. And we can have good relations with the other races. I want to have good relations with African Americans. I want to have good relations with Latin Americans, the Hispanic, Latino Americans, or people from Central America. We should have good relations with them. We can have a beneficial cooperation with them. But that doesn't mean we're going to give up our own race. We're not going to give up our own people. We're not going to do this forced race mixing garbage. So that's over. And that's where we need to go from here on out. Donald Trump isn't coming with us on this. We need to abandon that. The U.S. was founded to be a Jesuit mind control slave system. That's what it is. That's what it's always been. That's why you can't fix it, because you're fixing something that was designed to be a certain way. The reason is because when the revolution happened in 1773 to 1776, all the states, all the little colonies, they went into debt, millions of dollars, fighting the British. They went in debt to the King of France and some other people associated with him. I don't know exactly who, but it was the King of France who ended up getting his head chopped off because he was against the Jesuits also. So it was a big conspiracy. And so when all these little colonies went into debt, what happened was they said, well, if you join this thing we're building in Maryland by the Jesuits called the District of Columbia, the District of Columbia, not Philadelphia, which is a Greek, but the District of Columbia, which is Latin, because it's Roman. If you join this, we'll take over your debt. Your debt will be forgiven, and we'll take on the debt and we'll pay it back for you. See, that was the idea, and so that's what got them to join the District of Columbia, which was a Jesuit system. Now, because there weren't a lot of Catholics here at the time, everything was done through the Masonic order, through secrecy. So they set up a secret order, and it's been this secret bullshit the whole time. And then they brought the Jews over because the Jews were going to be the managerial class to run the financial system. And so through Freemasonry, then they set up their own Masonic order in 1843 called B'nai B'rith, which is the Anti-Defamation League and the World Jewish Congress. The Anti-Defamation League and the World Jewish Congress is B'nai B'rith, the secret order. See, they left the Christian Masonic order and formed a Jewish Masonic order. And this is all being done in coordination with the Vatican, who appointed these people as the new aristocracy to run the new Republican system because they were getting rid of the kings. Now, monarchies may not be the best way because it failed, right? So if it failed, then it wasn't strong enough to run on its own. And but what is a workable thing, the thing that threatens them the most is a state religion. A state religion that holds the government to a certain standard. See, that's why they had to get rid of the Church of England. That's why they had to get rid of the Church of England. That's why they had to get rid of the Lutheran Church, which is now just an arm of the Jesuit Roman system. Just like the Freemasons are just an arm of the Jesuit Roman. Like everything got infiltrated, everything got taken over by the Jesuits and the Jewish mafia, which is part of their syndicate. And so that's where we are now. And so the future has to be dissolving that system. The white European people of America and England and Europe need to just say no. That's why when Trump says, "Oh, we've got this alliance with London," London's Muslim, so we the white race don't have an alliance with London against Russia. No, this is what I'm talking about. The white race does not have an alliance with London because London is a Muslim country. That's Muslim territory. So fuck you. Fuck you, London. Any British who comes over here and says we should fight the Russians, punch him in the face. I'm not saying that literally. I'm saying that theoretically or metaphorically. Metaphorically. Because you're that London is Muslim. We're not with the Muslims. See, we're our own thing. We're the white race. Our religion comes from Athens. We worship the Logos. See, I support the Church of America. I support the Church of America. We worship the Logos of Athens. This is the reasoning that comes from God. See, that's what we worship. That's what the white race worships. We don't worship a cube in Arabia. So your Muslim stuff has nothing to do with us. So London forget it. London's finished. We have we the white race have no connection to London, and we have no connection to Rome because Rome is an enemy of the white race. And any government in Europe that's allied with Rome or Jews or Muslims is an enemy of the white race. Our God is the Logos. The Logos is the true God. The Logos is the Alpha Omega. The Logos is the eternal word of God forever. Never changes. It's always the Logos. It's always the Logos. So that's our God. That's the God of the white race. That's the God of the European people from Athens. So we have nothing to do with these other people. And we're not gonna fight wars for them. And we're not going to fight with Arabs. We're not going to kill Arabs for them. And we're not going to have an alliance with Arabs. See, Trump wants an alliance with the Arabs. London wants an alliance with the Arabs. What's that idiot of the UKIP party? Nigel Farage said we can't do it without Muslim Arabs being part of our thing. Well, you're not part of my thing because my thing has to do with the white race and the God of the white race, which is the Logos. The Logos is the God of the white race from Athens. From Athens. That's the God of the white race is called Logos, the reasoning of the universe. The word of God is God. John 1:1-5. The word of God is the light. The reasoning is the truth. The light is the truth. See, it's the enlightenment. That's the God of the white race and the God of Europe. Not some cube demon. Not some cube demon and not some pedophile prophet from Arabia. And so Donald Trump has nothing to do with it. Donald Trump he's finished. For as far as I'm concerned, as far as the Church of America, as far as the white race is concerned, Donald Trump is finished. He lived out his usefulness. He's no longer useful to us. So that's the message for today.